Welcome everyone to another night review. Today we have the 2021 Honda Accord Touring, and today we're going to take a look at all these exterior lights, the interior lights, get it out on the road and take it for a drive so you can see just how well it does. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time, I do night reviews on a regular basis, so be sure to check out some more in the description below. I also have a full review of this Honda Accord in the description below, or coming soon, so be sure to check that out. But right up front, Honda actually made some upgrades and changes for 2021 compared to the 2020 models. I'll talk more about that a little bit later when I show you how well the headlights do. But you've got LED headlights standard. Those are some reflector headlights. They look really cool, almost remind me of the Jewel headlights from Acura. So here's the deal. Every trim level is gonna get LED low beams, and the base model is gonna give you halogen high beams, but the rest of them are gonna give you these LED high and low beams. And then you've got LED fog lights on some trims as well, but the fog lights are a little bit different than they were last year. Last year they were more like lines. The paint color on this Civic is a lunar silver metallic, and I think this is when it looks best at night with the light shining on it. You see the blinker in the mirror, you've got the blinker on the side and the marker light paired with the 19-inch wheels on this touring model. And moving to the back, Honda gives you LED taillights. Not much has changed with the rear end for this year, but you've got an incandescent regular bulb turn signal. So no LED turn signal back here. You get an LED turn signal in the front, but you do get LED license plate lights. And then let's take a look at the brake and reverse lights. Now a quick look in the trunk, there is just one little bulb up above, kind of at the upper part. You can see the little light shining down. Nothing bright, but it's good enough to light up some surfaces or some materials back here. And for those of you that love to look at the paint, this has a really nice glisten to it. Very nice metallic look with this lunar silver. And let's take a quick look at the back seat. So there's no LED interior lighting in here, which is a little bit surprising for this $37,000 Accord. And there's really no lighting back there where the USB ports are. There's just a little bit here on the door with the window and heated seat button. And then in the front, Honda doesn't give you illuminated door handles or puddle lights coming from the mirror, but there is a regular little puddle light down there on the door. And like I said, no LED interior lighting, but let me show you all the lights and controls. Now, as we step inside, foot on the brake, nice illuminated start button. Everything starts right up. You've got a couple of digital displays. That's a little slow to turn on, but first things first, over on the door, the top touring trim, only the top touring trim gets this little illuminated door handle pull. So there's just a little bit of ambient lighting there, but it's nice to see that you've got an illuminated memory setting button. You've got all illuminated buttons over here. No cost cutting with that. Mirror controls, window controls, locks, everything's lit up. Plus, you've got your head-up display, trip computer, interior brightness, which I'll show you that in a second, and then a couple settings down here. So next to the trip, there's a little dial right here, which is the interior brightness dial. So this controls the brightness of the buttons backlighting, the interior brightness of that display, and even the brightness of that. So I love how quick and easy it is to dim everything or brighten everything up really fast too if you want. All of the steering wheel buttons are well illuminated as well. No problems with that. And I'll go through this center display a little bit more in the test drive, but there's a lot that you can see. This entire left portion is digital, which can be adjusted with the steering wheel, just a button on the steering wheel. And then that's analog over there, so that stays the same. And then your speedometer and driver assist stuff in the middle. And then right in front of us overhead, we've got our head-up display. You can make it go away, you can show it up. Using the steering wheel, you can change what information is available on here as well. You can kind of see a little tachometer type of setting right there, or you can completely move it away and get it off the windshield as well. But then coming over to the main screen right here, all of these buttons are backlit. Even the volume knob and tuning knob have little illuminated rings around them. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard on here. It's wireless on a few trims as well. You can go to settings. There's not as much customization in here as there is with some, but you go to vehicle, and then just for our purposes, we'll go down to lighting setup, and there's just a few different selections you can change right here. If you're looking for the automatic high beams, you actually do that all with this stock. So all your headlight controls and fog light controls are here. If you leave this on auto, the automatic high beams will be on when you turn the high beams on. you can just deactivate them by flicking them like that, or if you just spin it to the headlight, it's just going to be regular headlights, no automatic. So you can kind of determine that just by moving that dial. Dual zone climate control, everything is nicely lit up as well. You can see nice little illuminated rings around the buttons. And then there's a couple backlit USB charging ports, a wireless charging pad, and a nice little gentle glow shining down there. Right overhead, you've got your shifter, and I like the fact that we actually have illumination around the buttons here, plus the drive mode buttons, even your parking brake and brake hold. So, and you might be able to tell there's just a very light, gentle glow over this. There's a little light up above. If I cover it up, you can see that. Uncover it, you can see that. That makes a nice difference at night for just a very gentle glow. That light is right up there, this little tiny light in the middle. I don't know what trim levels this is on. I don't know if it's just the Touring with the door ambient lighting or if it's on all of them. I can't find any information. But there's regular incandescent light bulbs in here. There's no LED lighting in here, but it's actually pretty bright. And one thing about it that I like is you actually just touch the light to turn it on. You don't have to search around and find a button that's not lit up. You just touch it. And then this, if you want your light to turn on when you open your door or have it off, you can toggle that. In the middle, Honda's armrest does not have any ambient lighting in there. It is good size. It's got a movable tray, but there's no lighting inside. And the weird thing is the glove box doesn't either. So aside from the backlighting and the gentle glow up above and the little tiny bit in the door handle, there's no like ambient lighting customization in here like footwells or different colors. So if you were looking for that, you'll have to look elsewhere. Now taking a look at the headlights, these headlights are not adaptive. There's no adaptive function. This isn't the most impressive beam pattern going across. It definitely kind of falls off on the corners, but nice and bright in the front. And we've got the high beams right there. Those are really bright. It's a really nice spread. And then I have the fog lights on. We turn the fog lights off. Definitely good in the immediate distance and off to the width. And the headlight ratings on here are improved. So Honda gets the best possible good rating on every trim level except the base model. And the base model still gets an acceptable rating. For the 2020 models, they had a problem with glare. So Honda gave you less glare and better distance, especially with the high beams. All right, let's get going in this Honda Accord. Push button start. One thing I forgot to mention to you is that both sides get this little vanity light right there as well. Now in this test drive, I want you to get a good idea of what it's like to drive and be the one behind the wheel of this Honda Accord at night, so you can determine whether or not you'll have confidence driving this Accord at night and hopefully enjoy it a little bit. Right away, it's going to be well lit, but we'll get on a darker road pretty soon where I'll switch cameras and you'll hopefully get a closer angle at the headlights, and we'll check out the automatic high beams along the way as well and see how responsive those are. If you're looking for all the details about the driving impressions, I got my full daytime review following this where I do a more extended test drive talking about things like ride comfort and acceleration and all that. And we're in the hybrid model right here, so be sure to check that out because this is a pretty intriguing car with how efficient it is. But right off the bat, this hybrid still has over 200 horsepower. And it likes to make some noise, but you get some instant electric torque right away. But like I said, full review for that. Quick note, we get an automatic dimming rearview mirror on a couple trims for the Accord. No automatic dimming side mirror, but it is nice to have at least one automatic dimming mirror. Otherwise, you'll have the manual flipping mirror. But we're on a pretty well lit road. I just flicked the high beams on, so it's in the automatic high beam function. I'll let you know when we're in low beam, high beam, etc. And it's keeping us in the low beams, probably because the street is well lit, but we also have oncoming traffic. So we'll see if the high beams turn on. And there's another car, and they have not turned on yet, so they must be a little more cautious and conservative to not turn on if there's too much overhead lighting. But before we get on the dark road, the ambiance in here is okay. There's not really any customization. I like the very gentle glow down by the cup holders. I really like that. You could always put a piece of tape over it if you don't like it, but let's get on the dark road. All right, we're just about to get on the darker road now. And let's go ahead and switch over to the other camera so you can get a good look at these low beams right now. We'll see when the high beams turn on, and the high beams are now on. They automatically turned on. You can see very well down the road. The height of the high beams isn't fantastic, But when we level out, that looks great. Now let me go to the low beams. So the distance is still good, especially in my lane. Oncoming lane, not so much, but that's to be expected. No adaptive function going around here, but this isn't too bad. And I haven't been able to do as much night driving with this Accord as I normally do with other cars. Let me turn the automatic high beams back on. And they just turned on. And I can see markers way ahead. So they definitely have good distance. And they're actually pretty wide because they light up the bushes on the side of the road, which is nice on both sides of the road. Let me do just the low beams. And we're kind of going downhill, so it's hard to tell. The distance could be a little better. It's still good, but not great. Automatic high beams back on. And they just turn back on. And they just turn back off. They should stay on right now. It's probably because of a couple street lights. Now they're back on. The distance, or the lights to the left, the oncoming lane, are definitely not as good as I wish they were, but that's so you don't blind oncoming drivers. We have a car way up in the distance, and it still has the high beams on. So that's a little bit intriguing. Now let me go with just the low beams. Distance, the low beams are a little bit underwhelming. They're still good. But let's see here. Fog lights are off. And now fog lights on. Fog lights off. Fog lights on. It does just a little bit for the immediate distance. High beams, I just flick the stock towards me. High beams turn back on. The high beams are definitely the saving grace for this car. The high beams do a really good job with its width and with the distance. There's a stop sign way up there that I can very easily see. And then down to the low beams, I just turned those on. And it still lights up this road well. It's not quite as good as the Acura, the TLX that I drove not that long ago. Be sure to check out that night review. Those were impressive. But these are still good, and I can definitely agree with the fact that they get a good rating from the IIHS. So that's great. They do a nice job. It'll just kind of be up to you whether they do a good enough job for you. And they're much better than, you know, headlights on a decade-old cars that are just the regular halogen. These are great. You'll probably feel confident and happy with how well these headlights do. Let's see if we run into traffic. Automatic high beams just turned on. And we'll see if they shut off. And they did. So there's a person in front of us. The high beams turned off, so that's good. You'll notice there's some road noise. That's one of my complaints with this Accord. But be sure to check out my full review. I hope you enjoyed this short night video, checking out the interior and exterior lights. Leave your thoughts below and smash that thumbs up button if you really liked it, because it really helps me out and I truly appreciate it. But have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.